Have you ever felt lost navigating the complexities of love and relationships? In this video, I unveil the timeless wisdom of my grandmother, a true treasure trove of knowledge on trust, love, and overcoming challenges like infidelity and significant age differences. Have you ever wondered how to maintain passion in a long-term relationship or how to rebuild trust after it's been broken? By watching until the end, you'll discover practical strategies to strengthen your bonds, learn insightful and sometimes humorous sayings that reveal deep truths about human connections, and gain a better understanding of the delicate balance between love and respect. Whether you're facing romantic crossroads, seeking to enhance your current relationship, or simply curious about enduring relationship principles, this video offers invaluable guidance to help you build and sustain meaningful, lasting connections. Stay tuned to transform your approach to love and unlock the secrets to a fulfilling romantic life. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me. And if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. She always began her advice with a single, unwavering truth: trust. To her, trust was not just a pillar. It was the bedrock, the unshakable foundation upon which all relationships were built. Without trust, she would often say, no amount of love, passion, or devotion could survive. It wasn't simply important. It was vital to the very survival of a bond between two people. Without trust, the most profound connections would wither and die. Trust was the heartbeat of love, its lifeline, and when that trust was broken, the consequences were devastating. She would explain that trust, once lost, could never be fully restored to its original state. It would forever be tinged with doubt, suspicion, and hurt, like a beautiful vase that, once shattered, could never be pieced back together without showing the scars of its break. Her thoughts on infidelity were even more impassioned. She viewed it not only as a cruel betrayal, but as a soul-crushing violation of the sacred bond between two people. To her, cheating was never just a fleeting mistake. It was a profound rupture, a destructive force that revealed far deeper issues than simply disloyalty. Infidelity, she believed, was often the outward manifestation of a relationship already unraveling, of wounds that had been left unaddressed for far too long. It was never just about the physical act. It was about what had already gone wrong emotionally, spiritually, and mentally between two people. My grandmother always implored others to look beneath the surface, to ask difficult questions, and to explore the root causes before the cracks in the relationship became irreparable. For her, communication was not just a suggestion, it was non-negotiable. She insisted that open, honest dialogue was the only way to keep love alive. She believed that far too often, couples drifted apart not because they no longer loved each other, but because they stopped talking, stopped listening, and stopped being vulnerable with each other. The silence, she said, was the real killer. The slow, creeping poison that suffocated love. Problems, no matter how small or insignificant they seemed, needed to be addressed with courage and transparency. Only through communication could the cracks be healed before they became insurmountable divides. When it came to the more intimate aspects of marriage, my grandmother's wisdom was nothing short of revolutionary for her time. She had a bold and progressive view of love and sexual intimacy within a marriage. She fervently believed that passion should not fade with time, and that desire should not be allowed to wither away under the weight of routine and familiarity. To her, sexual intimacy was not merely a physical act. It was an essential expression of love, commitment, and vulnerability. She often said that the bedroom was where the heart of a marriage lay, where two people could be their most authentic, unguarded selves. It was in those moments of connection that a marriage could truly thrive. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment one below to let me know that you are still here with me. In her eyes, maintaining a healthy, active, and satisfying sexual relationship was not just a matter of keeping passion alive. It was a way of keeping love deeply rooted. She believed that desire, much like a fire, needed to be tended to, fed, and nurtured over time. It could not be left to smolder unattended or expected to burn brightly on its own. Both partners, she said, had a responsibility to one another to keep that flame alive, to make the effort to connect emotionally, spiritually, and physically, no matter how many years they had been together. My grandmother saw sexual intimacy as one of the purest and most meaningful expressions of love, something that should be cherished, not neglected. She encouraged couples to continue exploring one another, to be playful, to be adventurous, and above all, to be open with each other about their needs and desires. In her view, a marriage where sexual desire thrived was one where love could withstand any storm. Her advice extended beyond just passion and intimacy in marriage. It also touched on relationships where significant age gaps existed. My grandmother had a remarkably balanced perspective on relationships between older men and younger women. While some might approach these relationships with judgment or skepticism, she saw them through a lens of empathy and understanding. She recognized that love did not adhere to societal expectations or age boundaries. Love, she would say, was a force beyond our control, something that could bloom between two people regardless of the years that separated them. Age, to her, was not a barrier to love but a potential source of richness and depth, where both partners could bring their unique life experiences to the relationship. However, she was also a realist. She understood that while love might not be bound by age, life often was. She warned that age differences could present significant challenges, particularly when it came to long-term compatibility and shared goals. She believed that relationships between older men and younger women could be full of love, respect, and admiration, but they required a deep level of communication and understanding to work. It wasn't just about love, she would caution. It was about aligning on values, goals, and life stages. Without this alignment, even the most passionate love could falter under the weight of unmet expectations and conflicting needs. She often spoke about the importance of respecting the different stages of life each partner was in. Older men, she believed, needed to be mindful of the fact that their younger partners might be at a different place in their journey, still discovering themselves, still building their lives, still full of dreams and ambitions that might not always align with their own. On the other hand, younger women needed to respect the wisdom, patience, and life experiences of their older partners, understanding that they might have different priorities or limitations as they aged. Mutual respect, she said, was the key to making such relationships work. Without it, the relationship would be built on shaky ground, prone to the cracks that life inevitably brings. In all her wisdom, my grandmother's teachings echoed with one unwavering truth. Love was not easy, but it was worth every bit of effort. Whether it was nurturing trust, keeping passion alive, or navigating the complexities of age differences, love required constant care, attention, and devotion. It wasn't something to be taken for granted or left to chance. It was something to be fought for, nurtured, and cherished every single day. She believed in love's enduring power, but only if both partners were willing to do the work, to communicate openly, to trust deeply, and to remain committed through all of life's inevitable trials. These pieces of advice, though spoken in a different time, still resonate deeply today, a powerful testament to my grandmother's timeless wisdom. Sharing them is not just a tribute to her memory. It's a way to keep her voice alive, a voice that guided so many through the turbulent waters of love, trust, and human relationships. Her words continue to offer clarity in a world that often feels too chaotic to navigate. Now, let me share with you some of the wise sayings passed down by my grandmother, each one laced with humor, truth, and a touch of bittersweet reality. If love is blind, the wallet is the first eye test. She used to chuckle when she said this, but beneath the laughter was a hard truth about the complexities of love and money. In her eyes, finances and affection were often intertwined in ways that people didn't like to admit. While love should be pure, she understood that in real life, practicalities matter, and sometimes, the wallet opens your eyes to truths you would rather ignore. Infidelity is like a bad recipe. In the end, everyone loses their appetite. For my grandmother, infidelity wasn't just a betrayal. It was an emotional disaster, She compared it to cooking a meal where no matter what you add, it never turns out right, leaving everyone hungry, dissatisfied, and disillusioned. Cheating didn't just break trust. It soured the entire relationship, like a meal ruined beyond repair. In matters of love, some change partners so frequently they could earn loyalty points. Her humor shined through in this remark, as she observed people jumping from one relationship to another without ever truly understanding the meaning of commitment. To her, love wasn't something you could swipe left or right on. It required dedication, effort, and a genuine willingness to work through the tough moments. She said she liked him for who he was inside, especially if inside meant his wallet. My grandmother was a realist, and this saying captured her sharp understanding of how some relationships are built more on material gain than emotional connection. She was not afraid to confront the reality that, for some, love was less about the heart and more about financial security. While she believed true love transcended wealth, she also knew that some people's affections had a price tag. A relationship is something everyone wants to get right, but when asking for directions, forgets to follow the emotional GPS. Relationships, in her eyes, were like a journey. Everyone wanted to arrive at the destination, happiness, fulfillment, security, but too often, people ignored the emotional cues along the way. Instead of following the emotional GPS of empathy, communication, and trust, they got lost, wondering how they ended up so far from where they intended to be. Sex in marriage is like a cell phone service. The coverage is always better in the advertisements. She had a humorous way of addressing even the most delicate subjects. Sex in marriage, she believed, was crucial, but the reality often didn't match the expectations set by romanticized ideals. Maintaining intimacy, both physical and emotional, was something that required effort from both partners. Without that mutual investment, the service could easily drop out. Infidelity is the litmus test for lovers. Some come out refined, others just burned. She saw cheating as a fire that could either forge a stronger bond between two people, if they worked through the pain together, or completely burn away what little remained of their relationship. It was a test, and not everyone passed unscathed. But those who could rebuild trust emerged stronger, though deeply scarred. Some say that in the game of love, all moves are valid, but they forget that even in card games, the Joker only appears to mess things up. This was her way of reminding people that love is not a game, even though many treat it that way. While some believed that any behavior was justified in the pursuit of love, she knew that reckless actions, like the appearance of a Joker in a card game, could throw everything into chaos. She admired him so much that she decided to see if his love was as great as his bank account. She often commented on the way some people confuse love with wealth. It wasn't uncommon, in her observation, for someone to equate admiration with material possessions. But she believed that love based on wealth was hollow, a facade that couldn't withstand the trials of life. The real test, she said, was whether their love could survive without the comfort of money. In a relationship, it's essential to keep the flame burning. Just be careful not to burn the whole house down. My grandmother believed in the importance of passion and keeping the flame of love alive, but she also warned of the dangers of letting emotions, especially jealousy or possessiveness, get out of control. Too much heat, she said, could destroy everything, turning love into something volatile and destructive. Her sayings were always filled with humor and a touch of hard-earned wisdom. They reflected her understanding of the complexities of love, commitment, and human nature. She didn't shy away from the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, but her words were always wrapped in a warm blanket of love and care. Sharing her advice today feels like passing on an inheritance of wisdom, a treasure chest of insights that continue to shine in their relevance, reminding us all that while the world around us may change, the core truths about love, trust, and relationships remain the same. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. A relationship, she used to say, is much like gymnastics, requiring flexibility to bend without breaking, strength to endure the weight of life's pressures, and most importantly, the constant need to stretch, patience. Without patience, she believed, Even the most promising relationship would fall apart like a poorly executed routine. She often quipped that he was as faithful as a politician during a campaign, full of promises of loyalty, but quick to switch sides at the slightest temptation. His words were empty vows, as fleeting as campaign slogans, and like a seasoned politician, he'd change parties whenever the opportunity for personal gain arose. Sex and marriage, she said with a knowing grin, was like high-speed internet. Amazing when it works smoothly, but maddeningly frustrating when the connection falters. In those moments, she'd chuckle. It feels like you're left staring at the buffering wheel of dissatisfaction, waiting for things to get back on track. Maintaining intimacy in a relationship wasn't just about desire. It was about connection, communication, and sometimes a lot of troubleshooting when things went wrong. As for the age-old debate about love and money, she was never one to sugarcoat the truth. They say money can't buy love, she'd muse, but it certainly gives you better options in the marketplace of romance. Financial security, she believed, could smooth over the rough patches in love, but relying solely on it was like building a house on sand. And when it came to infidelity, she likened it to a diet, temptation always lurking, with many slip-ups between what you know is right and what you're hungry for. Some indulge in the moment, only to feel the guilt and consequences later, while others starve themselves of love, only to gorge on betrayal when the hunger becomes too much. In the value system of love, she saw two types of people: those who invest heavily, pouring their time, effort, and hearts into the relationship, and those who would draw at the first sign of trouble, unwilling to risk losing everything. Love, to her, was a risky venture, but one worth the investment. Still, she had a sharp eye for those who played it safe, walking away before they could get hurt or before they'd have to give too much of themselves. She looked for men who were rich in character, whose wealth lay in their values and integrity, but she wasn't blind to reality. Her eyes often wandered over to their bank statement, because in her world, love needed both heart and practical stability. Relationships, she often compared to books. Some you pick up and read for sheer pleasure. Exciting, passionate, and full of twists you never see coming. Others are mandatory reading. Relationships of convenience, duty, or necessity that you have to slog through even when your heart isn't in it. And then, there are those that you simply can't finish, no matter how hard you try. The words blur, the story loses its charm, and eventually, you just have to close the book, knowing it wasn't meant for you. And when it came to cheating, she said, it's like an itch. At first, it's just a scratch, but soon enough, you lose control, and before you know it, you're lost, unsure of where to stop. He said that love was blind, she once said with a glint of humor in her eye. And I replied that I prefer to keep my eyes wide open, especially when it comes to his wallet. Her wit was sharp, and while she valued love, she wasn't naive. Love might be blind, but she believed marriage was the perfect place to get your vision checked. After all, love could sweep you off your feet, but marriage was where the real work began, where you saw each other's flaws, failures, and financial habits in high definition. She didn't dream of a fairy tale prince on a white horse, galloping in to save the day. She was practical enough to know that if she had a choice, she'd prefer a man with an imported car, a reflection not of superficiality, but of her understanding that romance alone wouldn't pay the bills. Her wisdom was both profound and witty, always underscoring the complexities of love, desire, and partnership with a touch of humor that made even the hardest truths easier to swallow. In her words, love was a beautiful but complicated dance, one that required flexibility, strength, and a lot of patience to get right. And when it came to navigating the pitfalls of romance, she always said, keep your heart open but your eyes wide. Infidelity is the only thing in life that leaves you with less than what you started. You gain nothing but loss. Losing trust, the most precious bond between two people, losing peace, the quiet assurance that comes with feeling safe in someone's heart, and losing respect, both from your partner and, in many cases, from yourself. In today's modern relationships, the one sacred vow of "till death do us part" often feels more like "till the Wi-Fi do us part." Connection is easy to lose, whether emotional or digital, And many people are more committed to their devices than their relationships. Sex, she used to say with a smirk, is like software. It needs frequent updates to avoid bugs, crashes, and miscommunications that leave both parties feeling unsatisfied. If infidelity were a subject in school, she often joked, there would be more people with doctorates and honors than in any other field. The ease with which people betray their loved ones has turned it into an art form, albeit a destructive one. While some argue that money doesn't bring happiness, my grandmother believed it could at least help negotiate better terms in the contract of love. After all, financial security might not create love, but it certainly smooths out many of the bumps along the way. Passion, in her eyes, was like that wild, fun friend you adore spending time with, but who always manages to get you into trouble. It's exhilarating. It makes your heart race, but it's often the very thing that leads you down a path of chaos if you're not careful. She had seen it time and again. People mistaking passion for love, only to find themselves in relationships built on a foundation of flames that quickly burn out. He might have promised her eternal fidelity, but what he was offering was a contract of convenience, one where loyalty lasted only as long as it was easy, and temptation wasn't knocking at the door. In a relationship, she believed, knowing how to cook was more than just a kitchen skill. It was a metaphor for love itself. You need a pinch of romance, something to keep things exciting and fresh, a spoonful of humor, to laugh through the hard times, and most importantly, you must never let jealousy boil over. If it does, the entire recipe will be ruined. Jealousy, she said, was like too much salt in a dish. It overpowers everything and leaves nothing but bitterness. Truth, in her wisdom, was the foundation of love. Without it, any relationship is like a house built on sand, fragile, unstable, and ready to crumble at the first sign of trouble. Trust, once lost, is nearly impossible to cultivate again. It's like trying to grow flowers in barren soil. No matter how much you water it, it may never bloom the same way again. Those who plan infidelity, she warned, will reap loneliness. The betrayal might feel thrilling in the moment, but it leaves a person empty and isolated in the end. Love, she often reminded me, is not measured by the size of the wallet, though in the modern world, it often seems like financial security is treated as a prerequisite for affection. True love is measured by the depth of the connection, the shared experiences, the mutual respect, the unspoken understanding between two souls. Betrayal, however, is a one-way street. If you choose to walk it, be prepared to lose your way back home. There is no turning around once trust is broken. The path might be exciting for a moment, but it leaves you lost, alone, and with no way to return to what you once had. Respect, she believed, was the most valuable currency in any relationship. It was more precious than love itself because, without respect, love could not survive. Once spent recklessly, respect is almost impossible to recover. It's like trying to reclaim water spilled on the ground. No matter how hard you try, it's gone, and the relationship is left parched. Relationships, she said, are like mirrors. Once broken, they can be pieced back together. But no matter how carefully you glue the shards, the cracks will always remain visible. You might salvage the relationship, but those fractures, those scars of betrayal, lies, or neglect will never disappear. They will always be there, a reminder of what was broken and what can never be entirely mended. In her eyes, love wasn't just about grand gestures or fleeting moments of passion. It was about endurance, truth, and unwavering commitment. And in a world where infidelity and mistrust are all too common, her wisdom serves as a reminder that the true strength of a relationship lies not in its perfection, but in the willingness of both partners to stay, nurture, and rebuild, no matter how deep the cracks may run. Fidelity is like a rare work of art, priceless, irreplaceable, and something that grows more precious with time. It's not something that can be easily replicated, nor can it be restored once damaged. True fidelity is an act of love that transcends temptation, a commitment that speaks louder than any words ever could. It requires care, protection, and an understanding of its worth. just as one would never leave a masterpiece exposed to the elements. A relationship founded on fidelity must be shielded from the storms of life and the winds of doubt. Investing in communication is like making regular deposits into the bank of love. The more you invest, the richer the bond between two people becomes, with each conversation strengthening the foundation. Without communication, love can become a dried-up well, empty, parched, and unfulfilling. Just like a bank account that's neglected, relationships need steady deposits of honesty, understanding, and openness to thrive. Emotional investment is what keeps love flourishing, and without it, the bond weakens over time. In the market of love, my grandmother always said that honesty is the best policy. Everything else, half-truths, evasions, or emotional manipulation, is just superficial negotiation that may buy time but not trust. True love, she believed, is never about power or possession. It's not about who holds the upper hand or who sacrifices more. It's a pact of mutual growth and unconditional respect. Love isn't a battlefield. It's a garden where two people plant seeds of kindness, patience, and empathy. Both must tend to it, or it withers. If love were a book, sincerity would be the foreword, the foundation upon which the entire story is written. Without sincerity, without the openness to be vulnerable and real, the whole story loses its meaning. The plot of love becomes a hollow narrative, full of empty words that ultimately ring false. Infidelity, my grandmother often said, is nothing but a shortcut to loss. Those who take that path rarely reach the destination they imagined. It promises excitement, but delivers regret and pain. It might offer a fleeting thrill, but it comes at the cost of something far greater: trust. Infidelity is a path that leads to a dead end, leaving nothing but broken promises and shattered hearts in its wake. Those who stray often find themselves lost, unable to find their way back to the place where love once felt safe and secure. Respect, in her eyes, was the backbone of any relationship. Without it, love bends and buckles under the weight of selfishness and misunderstandings until it eventually breaks. Respect is what holds a relationship upright, what ensures that both partners feel valued, heard, and seen. Without respect, love becomes fragile, its foundation shaky and uncertain. Betrayal, on the other hand, is a seed that should never be planted. Once sown, it grows into a tree of regrets, its branches heavy with guilt and missed opportunities. Betrayal poisons the soil of love, making it impossible for anything pure to flourish in its shadow. Relationships, she believed, are not like bank accounts where you can withdraw more than what you deposited. You can't take out what you haven't put in. Without consistent emotional investment, without giving love, attention, care, and effort, the relationship goes into emotional debt. And like any bank account in the red, recovering from that deficit is a long and difficult process. Relationships demand daily deposits of kindness, thoughtfulness, and above all, trust. Trust, she often said, is like a precious crystal, beautiful, delicate, and incredibly valuable. Once broken, even if you try to glue the pieces back together, the marks and cracks will always remain visible. The relationship may still stand, but it will never be the same. The scars of broken trust leave permanent marks, and even with the best of intentions, they serve as a reminder of what was lost. Patience, she believed, is like tending a garden. It requires daily attention, watering, nurturing, and love. Without patience, love withers in the face of frustration and disappointment. Love flourishes not when it's demanded or forced, but when it's given time to grow naturally, without pressure or expectation. Just like a garden doesn't bloom overnight, relationships need time, care, and consistent nurturing to blossom into something beautiful and enduring. If infidelity is a road, she would say, then honesty is the map that keeps us on the right path. Without honesty, it's easy to get lost, take the wrong turns, and find ourselves in places of regret and confusion. Honesty is the compass that guides us through the complexities of love, helping us navigate the inevitable challenges and temptations that arise. It keeps us aligned with our values, our commitments, and the promises we've made to one another. With honesty as our guide, love can weather any storm, stay true to its course, and ultimately lead us to a place of peace, fulfillment, and lasting connection. Relationships are like intricate dances, delicate, graceful, and requiring immense coordination. Each step is a testament to the commitment of two partners who must move in harmony, careful not to step on each other's toes. It's a dance where balance is key, where rhythm and flow are vital, and where trust is the invisible hand that guides them. Without trust, even the most beautiful choreography stumbles, and the dance loses its elegance. True love, she would say, doesn't just sing in the light. It speaks in the dark when the world is quiet and challenges loom large. It's in those shadowy moments that love's true voice is heard, the voice of truth and trust, guiding both hearts through the night until the dawn breaks again. To deceive someone, she believed, is to sever the wires that hold the fragile bridge of communication. Once that bridge collapses, it is nearly impossible to rebuild with the same strength. Deception isn't just a momentary slip. It's a wrecking ball that leaves devastation in its wake. A relationship without honesty and transparency cannot stand for long. Love without respect, she'd say, is like a house built without a foundation. It may look solid from the outside, but when the smallest storm hits, it collapses under its weight, leaving behind nothing but broken walls and shattered dreams. True love is not something that simply happens. It's not a magical force you stumble upon one day and get to keep forever without effort. True love is built, day after day, with the bricks of understanding, the mortar of patience, and above all, a deep, unwavering respect. Loyalty, in her view, is the music that true lovers dance to. When the music stops, when loyalty falters, the dance loses its beauty and charm. Without that shared rhythm of loyalty, love stumbles, falters, and ultimately loses its way. If two people want to fly together in the world of love, they must avoid the heavy burdens of secrets and lies. These are the weights that drag the relationship down, tethering it to the ground when it should be soaring. The wings of love are made of transparency and trust, and without them, any relationship is doomed to remain earthbound. Secrets, no matter how small, corrode the wings, making it harder and harder for love to rise above life's challenges. Infidelity is a door slammer. It can close doors that took years, sometimes decades, to open. And once those doors are closed, reopening them is no simple task. Even if they do open again, they never quite swing as easily as they did before. There's always a creak, a resistance, that reminds you of the pain and betrayal that once sealed them shut. Betrayal doesn't just change the dynamics of a relationship. It leaves a permanent mark, like a scar that never fully fades. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. In the small, everyday moments of a relationship, gestures of attention and respect are the seeds that, when planted, grow into trees of lasting affection. These small acts, whether a kind word, a gentle touch, or simply being present, are what keep love alive. Over time, they blossom into something beautiful, something that can withstand the passing of years and the pressures of life. On the other hand, forgiving betrayal is not just an act of love. It's an act of immense strength. To forgive someone who has hurt you deeply requires a heart full of compassion, but forgiveness must never be mistaken for acceptance of continued harm. Forgiving once is strength. Forgiving again and again for the same mistakes can become a form of self-betrayal. Relationships, she often said, are not just about sharing joy and happiness. They are about weathering storms together, standing hand in hand when the winds of life howl around you and the world feels too heavy to bear alone. It's not the brilliant smiles that measure the strength of a relationship, but the way two people hold each other close when the shadows descend. The greatest test of love is not found in the easy, sunlit moments, but in how two hearts navigate through the darkness, trusting that the light will return. As for the bravest and most faithful men, she had a rather unique saying: "The men who lick the back of a woman are the most courageous and true." While it may sound odd, What she meant was that those who are humble enough to bow before their loved ones, who show vulnerability and devotion in the simplest, even unexpected ways, are the men who truly understand love. It's not about grand gestures or flashy displays of affection. It's about the quiet moments of humility, the willingness to put the other person first, to nurture and protect their heart above all else. In the end, relationships are a dance, a complicated, sometimes messy, but always beautiful dance. It requires both partners to remain present, to listen to the rhythm of each other's hearts, and to move in harmony, even when the music is difficult to hear. Love, in all its forms, is a journey, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, but always worth the steps it takes to keep moving forward. As we come to the end of this journey through the intricate dance of love, trust, and relationships, it's time to reflect. What have you learned from the wisdom shared today? What resonated with you the most? Take a moment to think about one piece of advice or insight that stood out to you and how you might bring it into practice in your own life. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share in the comments below one thing you've learned from this video and how it will shape your approach to love and relationships moving forward. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these valuable insights. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.